Hello and welcome to On My Bookshelf, and in this special episode I'm going to be taking a look at Mystical by Neil Burnell. If you're a regular viewer of On My Bookshelf, you know I'll do most of my episodes in the comfort of my own home with my bookshelf behind me. Now clearly I'm not there today, but I have come to Wistman's Wood on Dartmoor. But why have I come here to film this particular episode? Well, it's all to do with the book Mystical. Mystical is a collection of Neil's photographs from this very location. And as I live quite close by, I thought what better way to have a look at the book than on location right here in Wistman's Wood. So I'm going to head off into the woods and we'll take a little bit closer look at Neil's book. Okay, so here we have Neil's book. It's 76 pages long, it's a soft cover book, and it's got this beautiful green cover which really matches the sort of colour palette of the images contained within, and this really nice silver text where you've got the words Mystical and Neil's name at the bottom. A really nice touch, I feel. As soon as you open up the book, you're given a translucent page here where it's got a poem from Sophie Dixon. Now, Sophie was a 19th century poet who lived in or around the Plymouth area, but she had a real passion, a real love for Dartmoor. So I think Neil's selection of poem here is pretty apt for the contents of the book. There is then a few words from the head forester of the Duchy of Cornwall, who's got a little piece there about conservation, and he talks about how important it is for Neil's work to be out there to highlight the beauty and the wonder of the woodlands that he's photographed and how important it is to conserve these woodlands. There's then a few words there, a little foreword from Mark Littlejohn, and of course an introduction from Neil himself, who goes on to say that this location reminds him of Dagobah. So if you're a Star Wars geek, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think in the right conditions, Neil has got it bang on. It really does look a bit like Dagobah. Of course, the most important element in the book is, of course, the photographs. And if you look at this absolutely stunning image here on page 8, this is the kind of photograph, as soon as you open up the book, instantly transports you to another world. There really is something mystical about this collection of photographs. And talking of collection, if I look at this image here on page 14, for example, you'll see it looks very similar to the previous picture, but not in terms of content, but in terms of style, in terms of look, in terms of colour palette. And I think this is the real gem about this book, is the fact that it's a true collection of photographs. You may think, if you actually had a quick scan through this book, that all the photographs were taken on the same day, which of course they weren't. But it goes to show you how important and how much work Neil put into going to photograph this location over the space of a couple of years, seeking out those similar conditions and then using his skills as a post-processor to make those images look and feel the same. And so for me, this book is more than just a collection of photographs or a photographer's portfolio. It's an actual collection of images. As you start to look through this book, you start to discover that the pictures reveal more than just woodland. There's whole ecosystems within this woodlands, things that are growing on the trees. For example, if you look at this photograph here on page 16, there's all sorts of mosses and other things growing on the trees. And then this is a great example, and this has been beautifully captured here by Neil on page 40. There's so much to look at in this photograph. Like I say, so much more than just a collection of trees. You see all this stuff that's growing on here, and it really encourages you when you see these things to look in more detail and explore further into these photographs. Now I'm going to pick out a couple of images that create senses of depth, but Neil's quite skillfully done it in a couple of different ways. So if we look at this one here on page 60, he's positioned the camera at the bottom of this kind of fallen over branch, and as you look at the picture, your eye runs along it and through the woodland out into the distance, creating a really wonderful sense of depth. But skillfully, he's also used a shallow depth of field here on this image on page 70. So, as photographers, we're always perhaps striving for sharpness to get it sharp from front to back. That doesn't always need to be the case, and Neil has shown that quite clearly here. So this front part of the woodland here, this front part of this tree is all in focus, but the rest of it kind of gradually drops off and you've got the mist in the distance, so it helps create a sense of depth in a very different way, but just as skillfully. Now, the last element of the book that I want to talk about is the names that Neil has given his pictures. I certainly know from personal experience, I'm rubbish at giving my images names. They always tend to be quite factual, but Neil's come up with some quite creative names here. There's Tremor, Raptor, Torment, and they quite often reflect the nature of the photograph as well. So if we look at this one here on page 32, there's one called Tangled, and if you look at, Tangle, and if you look at the picture, you'll see exactly why. Ever since Neil announced that he was going to make this book mystical, I've been really excited about getting my hands on a copy, and now that I do, I'm really pleased to say it does not disappoint. Many photographers strive for years to create a collection of images, but what Neil's done here is absolutely outstanding. This is more than just a collection of his best portfolio images. This really is a proper body of work, a collection of images of one subject. Now, you may think, well, I'm not that interested in woodland photography, but there's so much more to this book than just woodland images. There's so much you can learn and appreciate from the photography in this book. So this is why I think it really should be on your bookshelf. Now, this is an edition 1 copy. You can't get the standard edition 1 copies anymore. They're all sold out. There might be a few limited edition ones left, but Neil is doing a second run of this book. So if you head on over to his website, and include a link for that in the video description below, you can pick one of these up. For me, this is probably one of the best books I've seen in quite some time. I really hope you've enjoyed this on-location version of On My Bookshelf. And if you have, please do consider hitting that like button, leaving me a comment and giving the video a share. And if you're not already a subscriber, please do also consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you've got an extra few minutes, why not check out another episode of On My Bookshelf? I'll include a playlist up in the corner of the screen. But until the next video, I shall see you then.